Our exposure to light might have the biggest impact on our ability to fall asleep and our ability to get a good night's sleep. Simply put, our body needs information from our environment to tell us what time of the day it is. And there's no doubt that our mood gets affected by the weather. Ever heard of seasonal affective disorder or the winter blues? Those are real things. And people who live in areas where there's more darkness are known to have more depression. And there's actually some studies on this. So some neuroscientists at the University of Pennsylvania studied rats, and they put these rats in complete darkness, and they actually kept them in darkness for 6 weeks. But after just 6 weeks, these rats started showing a lot more depressive behaviors. And not only that, they showed damage to their brain. And specifically, they showed damage to their brains in the same areas where human brains are inactive when they're depressed. And also what these researchers noticed is that the neurons in these rats started dying as well. So neurons are these chemical messengers that are super important for our body. And specifically, the neurons that are involved in norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin, which are all important for our emotion, for our mood, for our cognition, those are the neurons that started dying. And what these researchers think is that the death of these neurons is what causes things like depression in the winter and seasonal affective disorder. And you know, this kind of makes sense. So when we have more darkness or less exposure to light, it affects our sleep-wake cycle. It disrupts our body's clock. So our body's clock is called our circadian rhythm. This circadian rhythm is what tells us when it's time to wake up and when it's time to go to sleep. But when you have areas where people are constantly in darkness, or you have times where the dark light patterns are changing, then this will throw off your circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm depends on light. When we wake up in the morning and we see the sunlight outside, that's what tells us to start waking up and start going on with our day. And the same thing at night. When it gets closer to nighttime, our body releases more melatonin, which is this hormone that helps us fall asleep. Now, this is actually a pretty big deal because for a long time, we thought depression was only associated with stress. But we can see here that there is absolutely no stress involved in being exposed to darkness. Right, when you go outside and it's dark outside, that's not stressful, but it's still affecting our bodies. And the interesting thing is, this study where they were putting these rats in the darkness, they actually treated them with antidepressants. And what they found is treating these rats with these antidepressants actually helped in improving their brain damage and improving their depression. Sunlight is one of the biggest environmental factors that can regulate our mood. And this is why things like bright light therapy or artificial light therapy have gotten so popular, especially when people are living in areas that have very limited light exposure. So what's one simple thing you can start doing if you feel like you're struggling with depression or seasonal affective disorder? Well, one thing is in the morning, start exposing yourself to light. Even like 15 to 20 minutes of being outside and exposing yourself to sunlight can go such a long way. But the biggest thing overall is going to be controlling your sleep-wake cycle or your circadian rhythm. So how do you do that? Well, we already said in the morning, you expose yourself to light to tell you that it's daylight outside and to tell your body that it's time to be awake. But you have to do the exact opposite at night. You have to expose yourself to darkness so that your body knows it's time to go to sleep. And there's actually some studies on this as well. So people who are exposed to more light at nighttime are also more likely to be depressed. So this study looked at 900 people in Japan, and they followed them over a course of 2 years. And they were looking at both their sleep-wake cycles and their depression. And what they found is after just 2 years, people who were exposed to 5 lux of light at nighttime were 65% more likely to become depressed. Now, just for some reference, 1 lux of light is equivalent to the amount of light that comes from 1 candle and you're standing 1 meter away from it. Now, 5 lux really isn't that much more. It could simply be light coming from a street light that's coming through your darkened bedroom. This is something I had to deal with every single day in college. It would be the most annoying thing ever, where I would shut my blinds, I would shut the lights off, but there's still that stupid street light that's outside and still causing light to come into my room. Or it could just be that you left the TV on at night. But the bottom line is exposing yourself to light when you're supposed to be sleeping is not good. They also found that people who had more light at nighttime actually fell asleep earlier and also woke up later. So they spent more time in bed overall. So what is a simple way that everyone can prevent getting in this depressive sort of mood? Well, again, it all comes down to controlling your sleep-wake cycle or your circadian rhythm. So at nighttime, make sure you turn off that phone, make sure you turn off that TV, and make sure you have your blinds shut and prevent all that light from getting into your room so you have darkness. But also, when it comes time to wake up, you need to expose yourself to sunlight. Again, just going out for a walk for like 15 or 20 minutes in the morning can help a lot. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below. I will see you in the next video.